take a look at the charts, see where we ended on Friday, and see if we can get an idea where we may open up on Monday. Now, I like to do these weekend roundups based on the major indices, and we'll look at those and then kind of get an idea what they're doing, and that way we'll have an idea of what the overall market should look like heading into the week. Now, there's a couple of issues going on right now with the president keeps coming out with these things he keeps saying on these different platforms, and so it keeps affecting the market. And so we had a big gap up when he mentioned the 2 week break or whatever they were taking with Iran, and so we had a gap up, and so now we have a window that's open that needs to be closed, and so we're going to take a look at that as well. And I have a feeling that that window is going to close before we continue to head higher, or if it closes, we may continue to go lower. So it depends on what happens, and of course, it's just really a lot of clarity. You know how the rest of the story goes. Okay, so let's take a look at the charts, and we'll go from there. So first up is going to be the S&P 500, and we can see where the S&P, this is the day when the president had decided to take the 2 week vacation from fighting with Iran, and that's where we got that gap up. And since then, we kind of had 2 bars push higher, and then now we got this pause going on right now. And this is the date of this bar is the 10th, so that would be Friday. So once we come back into shut this window into this area, we'll see if we can hold support and continue higher, or if we're going to close and come lower. And next up is going to be Bitcoin, and Bitcoin is had put in a nice 3 bar push, but now it's starting to pull back a little bit into tomorrow's trading, which is going to be the 13th, of course. We got support coming in with our moving average here, so we'll see how that works out. But it is currently in a downtrending market, and we're looking for some support at the moving average there. Gold is trying to put in this nice little hammer, so we'll see how we open up on gold. If we open up above this, or open up somewhere in this hammer and then start to push higher, if we can get it closed higher, then gold might be a buy. Looks like we got some resistance area right across there on gold. Oh, wrong one. Let's see. I need a price level right there. Okay, we got that. I don't know if you want to call it a tweezer top or whatever, but these 2 bars seem to close in the same area, so that's going to be a resistance area as well as this one here. But you have these 2 that did the same thing as these 2, so there's a resistance area in here. So we'll call this area of resistance. We need to really get above this one here, high of 4,888, to be confident to continue higher and go. But if we can get it close above this line here, show it on the right, if we can get it above 4,647 or 4,847, then gold may continue to go higher and retest these previous highs at 50 or 5,626. Next up is nat gas, and nat gas is just flat. It's been flat for a while now, so we're ignoring nat gas for a while until it decides to make it take a direction. All right, we got the Nasdaq, and the Nasdaq got that pop up like everybody else did with the 2 week ceasefire, and now it's starting to sell off because the president recently said something else concerning that, and plus all the negative news with all the other stuff that's going on with the presidency. So all the other negative news that's out there right now, so it's starting to sell back off and come back down into the moving averages. And if news continues to get worse, then most likely the market is going to continue to sell off. Next up is the Russell, and the Russell got that that push, and then now the negative news and the sell off. So doji, and we're getting back down into this failed zone. So if we get back into this recovery zone, it's actually a no trade zone right now. That's between 2,574 on the Russell and 2,415. It's pretty much a no trade zone on this particular one. But you know, you do what you want to do. You can go short on it or you can go long, but it needs to stay above this 2,574 to be still a solid trade higher for the Russell. But if we get back in this zone, then you might want to rethink your trade. Silver, it's got some overhead resistance, looking like the gold's type of silver overhead resistance, where those bars are kind of lined up together. It just needs to get above that and find some support to continue higher. We're looking for some support at around $77 on silver. We can get some support around 77, 78, 79. We should go higher to retest. Next up is going to be the Dow, and the Dow, like the others, got that push up. It was already pretty much pushing into an uptrending market. It recently had that push down and put in this what looks like a Morningstar reversal and then pushed higher. But then now it's running into some trouble at around this resistance zone at 48,835. So if we can get above this resistance zone, and this one is kind of like part of that zone as well. This bar here didn't really give it a number because I just wanted to be above this 48. That right there, if we can get above 48 and stay above 48, it'll push through that. It should push through that easily, at least up to 50,611. That's where we would have our next major resistance because of the most recent high, or the okay. So that would be our high, our last high. Okay, so this one here really isn't. I mean, it is something, but I'm not going to give it as much authority as this white line here. Okay, based on what the SPY is doing. So, of course, the SPY put in that gap. You know, the same gap as the S&P and the others, based on that ceasefire. And we'll have to see what happens. Right now, the SPY looks like it wants to come back and shut this window. I have a feeling that the SPY is not going to really try to push too much higher, especially with the negative news that came over this weekend. So I suspect that we're going to probably get some sell-off in that one. Let's see. 5 minute, yeah, we dropped down to 671.61 and in the pre-market based on Sunday's trading that we don't get the trade in. So we dropped down to 671.61, and which would put us, go back 3 months in a day, which would put us down around here somewhere. So if we end up opening up on the 13th below this, then most likely we're going to come back down into this resistance zone. If we fall back into this resistance zone, then be careful. We may fall back all the way to this major pivot. If we get to the major pivot and close below the major pivot, then most likely we're going to continue to head lower. If we stay above it, then we should be okay. So I'm giving it a range of 650 to 671. If we get in between that area, then we're in a no trade zone. If we stay above 671, then we should be okay to try to go higher. But if it doesn't look like it's going to have any conviction to go higher above this 671 area, most likely it's going to drop back on one of these after hours during. But that's it. That's all I got for you for the weekend roundup. I hope it was informative. But definitely watch out for these windows that are open. When these windows get open, they need to be closed at some point. So they don't always stay open. At some point, they have to get closed before the stock can continue to go in any direction. So if it gaps up, it needs to come back and close. If it gaps down, it needs to go up and close. All right, so that's the weekend roundup. Have some final thoughts. Always be a trader, not a guesser, not a gambler. You're going to be finding defining your structure. You're going to be defining your risk. You're going to look for how much you plan on profits, and always be careful with the news, especially now with the news. Right now, our leaders are really sound like they don't have a clear direction, and that's dangerous for the market. Okay, so you have to be careful, especially if you're holding overnight. Large positions can get wiped out quickly. With trading, I'm just scalping. So, you do however you want to do your portfolio. You're your own CEO, and you should be, strategizing how you're going to invest your money and how you're going to use your money. But you always want to have your money working for you. So, like I said, I'm slowly that cash gets deployed back into certain stocks as they go lower. As they go higher, I'm taking those dividends and reinvesting them into other stocks. So that's just kind of how I play that. And if you want to know more about how I do my dividends or how I do my actual trades, send me a comment and I'll let you know. And I'll try to give you as much information as I can and what works for me. Okay, so thanks for being here. Like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and as always, be careful out there. These markets are crazy. Oh yeah, and we don't guess, we don't gamble. We're structured traders. Remember that.